that distracts you or whatnot, because that is gone. It's no longer a conversation. If you don't like that, okay, I'm sorry, but that's reality.
Pushing the Odds with Matt Peralt, weekday afternoons from 1 to 4 Eastern.
The Jake Asman Show.
What's an easier costume, the Gardner Minshew or me always being Jake from State Farm every year? I would say Jake from State Farm. All you need is khaki pants, a red polo shirt, print out the State Farm logo, print out a name tag that says Jake, and you're ready to go. It is the go-to costume of mine because it's easy and people always laugh. And unlike other people that do it, my name is actually Jake.
The Jake Asman Show, weekday mornings from 9 to 11 Eastern.
Wake up call.
This is one of the greatest things I've ever seen in my life. It was so great to see Vin Scully get on Twitter. And when he said just a bunch of friends, I was warmed. I was like, he thinks we're friends.
Yes, I felt the same way.
If I engage in him, we're friends. Vin Scully is fantastic.
Listen, Vin Scully just taking to social media, recording a video for a few minutes, talking about baseball, talking about whatever it might be. I'm all in.
I want to hear him do whatever he wants to do.
I want to hear him talk about dirt. Talk about fish, talk about the number 13. I couldn't hit the follow button fast enough.
I know, I couldn't either. I mean, it was so great. The broadcaster I grew up loving was Johnny Most of the Celtics. He was the play-by-play voice of the Celtics. But when you listen to Johnny Most, it was like listening to a guy gargling razor blades after smoking 4 cigars and drinking some scotch. Whereas Scully was like honey dripping down. It was like this voice from heaven.
Wake up call with Tony B and Ron Culver, weekday mornings from 7 to 9 Eastern.
Coast to coast. Why should some teams be allowed to have fans and other teams can't have any? You talk about a disadvantage. I mean, it's that simple. Plus, who wants to go to a Dolphin game anyway? They suck. They're not going to play Tua. They're going to suck anyway like they always do. So who wants to go to a Dolphin game? Joe Ranieri knows they suck too. I wouldn't bet on him if it hit me in the head.
Pharrell Coast to Coast with Scott Pharrell, weekdays from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern.
Jay Farner here, CEO of Rocket Mortgage. Making the right financial decisions has never been more important. When you turn to Rocket Mortgage, we can help guide you to those right decisions now, when they matter most. Mortgage rates are near historic lows, so now is a great time to call 8338-ROCKET. And if you need some extra money, a cash-out refinance could give you that financial boost you're looking for. Call today at 8338-ROCKET or go to rocketmortgage.com to learn more.
Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
Ridiculous that I go through this every single time.
This is a Gow Media property in partnership with Jacob Media.
Set your system's volume control for slightly above the normal listening level.
Let's go. Second level thinking is defined as looking beyond the easy, obvious conclusions.
You got to do some smart thinking.
Welcome to the second level on the Sports Map Radio Network, a show where we go beyond the box score.
Presented by Rocket Mortgage. Home loans that fit your life. Rocket can.
Live from the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, here's Eitan Shander.
Well, we have news in the NFL, and it's a couple of different pieces of off-the-field news in the National Football League. We start, of course, in New England, where we had Cam Newton's positive test derail his own activity Sunday into Monday night, push the game back, and go through a series of protocol that would ensure everybody could play despite one player testing positive for COVID-19. Now, since then, we have, as it's come out this morning, Stephon Gilmore testing positive. League sources confirm the report. Patriots have canceled practice today. Cam Newton was Saturday. Bill Murray, not that Bill Murray, the practice squad defensive tackle, already placed on the COVID list. But being on that list doesn't mean you tested positive. It just means, or could mean, that you were around somebody who tested positive. Now, where all of the Chiefs tests came back negative this morning, you have Stephon Gilmore, and we wait and see who, if anybody else, tests positive. According to all of these reports that were pieced together, Gilmore was on the plane of people who had not physical airplane, but plane of people who No, I guess it was that physical airplane because I thought it was the same, different flight, and it is a different flight. So Gilmore was on a separate flight of people close contact with Cam. And now there's concern right now about where we are. So who knows if, in fact, the Patriots are going to host the Broncos now Sunday afternoon. We also have in the same umbrella whatever's going on down in Nashville, where more players tested positive. So here we go. NFL, first real bout against COVID-19. We'll talk about that all next. And also there's a quarterback change in Washington that's of note because that game's still going on this Sunday against the Rams.
Today, everyone is expecting you to maintain a new level of clean.
Are you going to want any Van Halen today?
Yes.
Says the essential.
Every segment?
We'll keep you well stocked with cleaning supplies.
I feel like we should get out of
other essentials like face masks, hand sanitizer, and thermometers. Give everyone the confidence they need to keep coming back. Visit Cintas.com and get ready for the workday.
Yes, but I feel like going in, like, not this segment, but next segment, because then we can talk about it a little bit.
All right.
I can do all like the NFL stuff and get that out of the way now.
Offers supplies and solutions for every industry.
Just because it's gonna, you know, you come back with something, it's gonna take over.
It's part of our
we're not just gonna gloss over it. That's all.
But you only want to do one segment. Right?
No, we can do a couple. That's all. I just want to get. My point of it is, I just want to get the
CEO of Rocket Mortgage.
the COVID stuff out now.
Okay.
Important.
And
when you turn to Rocket Mortgage, we can help guide you to those
I
right
just feel
decisions
like
now, when they matter most. Mortgage rates are
it's
near
best to
historic lows,
introduce it
so now
the
is a
next
great time
segment,
to
if
call
that makes sense.
8338 Rocket. And if you need some extra money, a cash out refinance could
That
give you that
makes sense to
financial
you?
boost you're looking for.
That works.
338 Rocket or go to rocketmortgage.com to learn more.
Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
Third floor study hall. My dining room table. Homeroom Monday and Tuesday. My living room Wednesday to Friday.
Wherever school happens for you this year, Staples has amazing prices on everything your student needs. This week, get 20% off copies and prints for school. That's 20% off posters, worksheets, schedules, and reports. Shop in-store or pick up curbside. School on, save on. Staples. Visit staples.com/school printing for coupon. In-store only. Exclusions apply. Ends 10/31. Curbside available.
All right,
in
so
most
Teresa
stores.
Walker
Pro Extra is the
is
Home
going to join
Depot's
us
free loyalty
from
program
the
built for
Associated
pros.
Press.
Members earn perks just for shopping.
And
like
that's,
new Pro Extra dollars or tool rental perks. Get exclusive benefits every
this
day
hour.
that save time and money. And here's
Okay.
an extra.
At the 40?
Yes, sir.
All right.
More just for signing up. Want to save? Join Pro Extra only at the Home Depot.
I just
How
texted you
doers
her
get
number.
more done. Visit the Pro Desk in store or at homedepot.com/Pro Extra for details.
What do you get when you talk to a Dell Technologies advisor? You get someone who understands there's an art to listening, who's able to hear more than what's being said, and can provide tailored small business solutions that make you feel truly heard.
I understand. Let's get started.
For advice on everything from laptops to the cloud and solutions powered by Intel vPro platform, call an advisor today at 877-ASK-DELL.
Scratching beneath the surface. It's the second level on the SportsMap Radio Network.
Presented by Rocket Mortgage.
From the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, here's Eitan Shander.
COVID strikes. Now what do we do? Patriots game, I imagine, is up in the air right now. Although, here's the thing. We just saw this, right, last week, where if you're able to isolate it, it's Wednesday. This whole thing happened with Cam Newton. I don't think we should panic at the moment. And I'm reading this from Kevin Seifert an hour ago. Patriots took 2 planes to Kansas City for Monday's game versus the Chiefs. One was for those who had close contacts with Cam Newton, Stephon Gilmore, on that flight. So as of now, all we have, and let's just piece everything together because you know that there is just this immediate reaction to anything you see, especially if you see it on your timeline on social media. Oh my goodness, are you kidding me? Because it's presented to you that way. Doesn't matter if it's from a news organization or one of your buddies that you follow. It's going to be presented in such a sensationalist fashion in order to get response or interaction. But let's just slow down for a second. As of right now, the 4:25 Eastern kick with the Broncos and Patriots is slated to go on. As of right now, this second, we are good to go. Gilmore, as of right now, the only player that we know to test positive. This is also a situation that has a lot more clarity than what's going on in Nashville, and we expect to go down to Nashville at the bottom of this hour, speak with Teresa Walker from the Associated Press, who's based down in Nashville, covering everything in the NFL, including the Titans. But right now, Gilmore, the lone player that we know, Broncos do not have any issue with COVID. It's just Gilmore. Patriots shut down practice, rightfully so. There will be an extreme round or rounds of testing going on, and that would determine if, in fact, it's just Gilmore or maybe there are more players involved. If there are more players involved, then we start to look at what happened already set with the precedent with the Titans, where the game will be postponed. The NFL has it in place right now with the schedule in place in order to have some sort of adjustment and not derail an entire season or stretch of weeks with games, slide things in like we just saw with the Steelers and the Titans. So nothing is going to be lost. Nothing is going to be shoved to the side. And, oh my goodness, the competitive balance questions like we had with baseball, none of that. In fact, as we speak right now, it's business as usual. Sans being able to get into your practice facility today. We saw the Minnesota Vikings absent from their building a couple of days this past week. Go into Houston and beat a team so bad that they fired their head coach / general manager. So even with the New England Patriots closing down their building today, isolating if it's Gilmore or Gilmore plus one, maybe two. And I think at that point, if it's more than that, you start to look at postponement. But even right now, you have enough time to shut the building down today. Extreme rounds of testing. Shut the building down tomorrow, even at that point. You're home this week. You're hosting goes this week. There's no, we got to get up and leave on a flight on Friday and get to our destination. You're staying at home. I think there's enough right there to where this game, if it's an isolated case, which it is according to every single report we have. Now, this is fluid. What's happening in Nashville is fluid as well. All of these things are fluid. But as far as what we have in front of us to piece together to formulate what should be a quasi-educated opinion based off of the precedent that's already been set by the Titans and Steelers game, where it can be moved a couple of weeks down the line and not disrupt everything. You have, in fact, it actually gave the Steelers an edge coming into this week's game against the Eagles, but I digress. You also have one case that we know of right now. It might grow. It might be more. It might pop. But this is not the end of the week even, let alone the end of the world for the New England Patriots. They have a bigger problem in trying to get Cam Newton back on the field as fast as humanly possible. I can't sit through another half of football. I can't sit through another series of football with Brian Hoyer out there on the field. So scrap that idea. That's the bigger problem right now, is trying to figure out who the quarterback situation is on Sunday, since according to everything we have right now, they have isolated the one case down to Gilmore and are doing everything as a precautionary method. Everything along those lines of making sure that by canceling practice, by closing down the building, you have everything along the lines of following safe protocol. This should not be met with panic. This should not be met with a final conclusion or statement on what's going on. The NFL has built-in protocol. They ramped it up since what happened with Tennessee and Pittsburgh. I hate to use the term, I know, because it's a terrible industry term to use, which is let's wait and see. My goodness, oh, we need an opinion. We need a sharp opinion right this second, right now. Well, by doing that, you might talk yourself into a conclusion that is nowhere close to the reality. And what have you done? You've built yourself up all emotionally, internally for a couple of days, stressing something where, in fact, nothing even remotely close came to that. Now, you're talking about college savings. That's one thing. You're talking about whether or not the Patriots play a game on Sunday against the Broncos. Clearly a different matter. But in this case, the NFL, at the very least, has earned a benefit of the doubt where they've been able to control both COVID situations so far. One, which is still evolving in Nashville. Players testing, multiple players testing positive. Let's move this game. Let's push it down the line. Find a moment where we can in the schedule that's not disrupting everybody else. Steelers get an extra week. You know what? They lose their bye later, but they get it now. That's fine. And everybody's happy now. Everybody is okay. Versus what we had with the Chiefs and the Patriots, where one player isolated, removed, everybody tested, everybody good, everybody cleared, everybody's good to go. At that point, you play. Now, point of contact, tracing along those lines, it makes sense logically that Gilmore was next to Cam Newton, therefore could have contracted it next to Cam Newton, but he did not show up positive clearly on the multiple rounds of tests. The first wave of tests in which Cam tested positive, and then on top of that, playing a football game in which he's not just going to walk into the facility, the building on Sunday in Kansas City at Arrowhead and say, no, I was good, man. I got tested when I landed a day ago, 2 days ago. What? You're going to get tested right there again. Extreme protocol raised after what happened with the Titans. So Gilmore either slipped through on multiple false results or contracted this after the fact. Who knows? There's a lot of middle area that's really gray right now that's tough to sift through until we find out a couple of those specifics. And here's another thing. Nobody in the Chiefs tested positive, according to reports this morning. And we're still awaiting, but we don't have any other player. I'm not saying nobody else tested positive. I'm saying nobody else in New England so far is, I should say, positive, but nobody else in New England has tested positive. I'm not going to make a definitive statement where no other Patriots player has it. I'm saying as of now, we haven't got any new results that a Patriots player has tested positive. This game is going on as we speak. There is nothing that is changing this as of now, except for multiple positive tests that would come through like we've seen with the Titans. And that's where we go, where the Titans, 2 players tested positive, according to ESPN this morning. We'll chat with Teresa Walker in 20 minutes. 2 straight days with negative tests. They now face positive tests multiple times over. Doesn't look like at this point, based on what they've had already, they're going to be in good shape to play the Bills. We don't know that yet. Again, 8 players last week, 1 this week, 11 overall have tested positive. All placed on the reserve COVID-19 list. We know already this thing was pushed back against the Steelers October 25th. I don't know at this point. Overall, I'm saying 8 players, 11 overall this season, 8 players last week. Now, we don't know at this point if the NFL is going to postpone or if there is enough time on a Wednesday to continue to isolate, and if you stop with multiple days in a row of negative tests, if there's enough time. But I guarantee you that the league is pushing for that. I guarantee you that they're trying to figure out, first, they're trying to figure out if the team violated any of the league's coronavirus protocol. That I can tell you is happening right now. They're trying to recoup as much money as possible from players violating any protocol, allegedly, or even if in fact they did, we don't know. There'll be an investigation coming down, I'm sure, and a report from that. But the Titans themselves, come on. We just saw a postponement with fewer players. Now, if this continues, it might push this Bills game back. Might not. It might meet the protocol for where the NFL and the Titans have done enough. all of the players are isolated, multiple days of positive tests, and they say, go out and play. You don't have anybody else, according to our tests, according to your tests, that is positive with the virus. Go out and play. We know that the Bills are okay, so you go on and play this football game. We're not anywhere near that point yet, since today they found 2 more players testing positive. All of this hiding a major benching down in Washington. So you've got COVID that has now infected the New England Patriots to where we don't know, but as of now, we haven't been told anything other than the fact that the game's going on. We just don't know. Titans, 2 more players test positive this morning. Dwayne Haskins is benched, and it's not Alex Smith, just so you know. That was the hook right there on the headline. You thought, wow, this is going to be crazy. Dwayne Haskins is out after a month, and now here comes Alex Smith, comeback player of the year contender Alex Smith at this point. Well, it's Kyle Allen. Now, Alex Smith is the number 2, which means Haskins was dropped all the way at the bottom, but still, the story is 50 times better and actually is interesting when you read and think, give me Alex Smith. You don't get Alex Smith, Kyle Allen, that's not a payoff. There's no payoff for clicking on that story. 0. And that's unfortunate because I really thought that we were going to get a glimpse of Alex Smith. And now it comes out a couple of minutes just coming out down the wire. This has nothing to do with COVID, but this just is lockstep with 2020 right now. ESPN is putting out Monday Night Football could move from New Orleans to Indianapolis because of Hurricane Delta. Colts play the Browns in Cleveland on Sunday, but informed the league that the Monday night game could be played at Lucas Oil Stadium. So it's the Saints and Chargers, just so you understand. It's not the Colts versus the Saints. I wasn't clear on that for you. I apologize. But in case you were wondering, like, oh, that's huge on the line, I don't know. New Orleans would probably lose 1.5 points, maybe something along those lines. It's a neutral site, and that's probably going to drop the line 1.5 points. It's still the Chargers, who are going to be at least a touchdown dog coming into that game. But it might change a little bit. You might have lost some value right now, especially if you took the Chargers at plus 8.5. Monday Night Football, we'll monitor this. It might drop the line significant enough to where it brings it down to 7. So I'll get a look on that. We'll take a quick break at Shander Show, at Ron Culver. He's in the house, 2 N's on Twitter, twitch.tv/Shander Show. It's the Second Level on Sports Map Radio.
The Second Level.
The Philadelphia 76.
Not only that, anytime, but college football had a move too.
Smooth over how bad it was overall. The Sixers are kind of like. I missed that.
The Missouri LSU game was going to be played in Baton Rouge. That's now going to be played in Missouri.
Got it.
Ways like the Rockets are. So Doc comes in, and I don't know if the expectation is he's going to be the young, growing star whisperer, but that must have been a moment in which he was able to convince people, give me more power than just being a head coach. I can't imagine Doc Rivers is coming into this situation with 0 control or like 50-50 control over a move like, hey, let's trade Tobias Harris tomorrow, or we should have moved on from Al Horford yesterday. Stuff like this. Like, I can't imagine.
The Second Level with Eitan Shander, weekdays from 11
Nothing
a.m.
was
to 1 p.m.
postponed, though,
Eastern.
this week, at least in the top 25.
Are you thinking that it's time to start looking for a new car? Then go to Automotive.
Yeah, that was a comment, or my thinking was, hey, this game getting moved is for normal reasons, not for COVID reasons.
Is your place to see reviews. Check out the hottest exotic cars, read tales from the road, and get acquainted with the luxury automotive lifestyle. Into hot mods? Want to see the cars celebrities drive? Love a good restoration job? From off-roading to on-roading, AutomotiveMap.com has it covered. Visit AutomotiveMap.com today.
Pushing the odds with Matt Peralt.
Talking to Anthony Tolliver of Memphis Grizzlies here on Pushing the Odds. You were quoted by the Commercial Appeal as saying
Yes, sir.
we have to actually stand
How
up,
was,
talk about, and be and do whatever we can to affect the change that we want to see.
How
Is
was
that
everything
what the
going
Bucks
down
did
this
to do
morning?
anything
You
that they
guys
can
just
do to
pound
affect
this
change?
Patriot stuff?
We are athletes. We are entertainers. We are basketball.
Eddie Van, do you guys, how much Van Halen did you do with Jake?
80% black.
Like, what would you
He
say?
talked about it at the very end of the show. Like he goes, oh, we didn't play any Van Halen rejoins. And I'm like, yeah, like you didn't ask me to. So, I wasn't going to.
Was he blaming you?
No. I ended up playing a Van Halen the final segment for him. Like for Tony and I, like Tony asked me before the show, goes, hey, can we have Van Halen rejoin music for each rejoin? And I was like 2 steps ahead of you. I already grabbed all the Van Halen cuts I wanted.
4 Eastern.
Imagine learning about radio and being mentored
Yeah.
by true radio professionals in real radio stations. Well, actually, you don't have to.
Let's do that.
Because there's Radio Connection. Radio Connection.
I just
gives
wanted
you
to
the
get that first
opportunity
segment
to
out of the
learn
way.
one-on-one
But you can
and
run
be
as much Van
mentored by
Halen as you
radio
want now.
pros. Plus, you don't have to worry about getting into a crazy amount of debt.
Famous last words.
Is it possible to
Tuition
run
at much lower
instrumentals?
costs. To find out more,
Or at least
I
keep.
would have to go and try to find them all, but
Okay.
But I mean, a lot of these songs have long intros.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So, like this one.
Yeah.
Scratching beneath the surface. It's the second level on the SportsMap Radio Network.
Presented by Rocket Mortgage.
From the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, here's Eitan Shander.
You hear jump right there, and there's a reason why. As the news came down yesterday, Eddie Van Halen passed away. Rather young, mind you. Eddie Van Halen passed away. And as 2020 continues to take, and every year we lose celebrities and all-stars and all-timers at what they do. And few, I think, can claim a title of, and I don't really think there is one outside of, I'm sure like Jimmy is going to be a super popular one, but few can battle, let's say, Jimi Hendrix for the title of best guitarist of all time. And Eddie Van Halen is in that very, very small one handful of people who can, including Hendrix in that group. And if you look at the impact that he's made, as well as his just uncanny ability to play the guitar, it is a beautiful match of the sound that he could make, the people he surrounded himself with. Remember, as far as Van Halen going through controversy, lead singer, Sammy Hagar. And if you just start to see some of these stories that came out, and I have a question for you real quick, Ron, but one of these stories, I did not know, at least the depths of it, I didn't know. And these always come out when somebody dies, and social media actually has a couple of good points behind it. This is one of them, where doing a favor for Quincy Jones of playing a 32-second solo for Michael Jackson's Beat It. And the favor came as Quincy Jones asking, hey, I got a young star to be here, and Michael Jackson, can you just do this solo for me? And Eddie Van Halen, according to multiple quotes, which he's backed up, basically said, who's going to listen to this record? Absolutely, whatever. Don't even pay me for it. And he did it. And of course, there you have it. I mean, it's insanely good too. And it's just right on the line of everything he's done. And if you've ever seen any clips of them do it live, there is one that's floating around where a really young MJ is on stage and he's throwing it to Eddie. It's just one of these moments, like, really? Like LeBron to Jordan. If you ever had that, right?
Yeah. Not only did Eddie come in and do it for free, Eddie did it on the first take.
Yeah, one take, Eddie.
One take.
Yeah, one take, Eddie. That's it.
They asked him to bring him in, and he just went, yeah, sure. And then he was done.
No, and it's amazing. I mean, his abilities are unlike anybody. Now, why did you come back with Jump? I'm curious. You could have come back with
I
anything.
could have came back with anything. And
Yeah.
I'll be playing more throughout. But Jump, That's the one that sticks out in my mind the most is the most Van Halen of Van Halen songs for some reason.
The most Van Halen of Van Halen songs. Really?
Yeah, that's the one that sticks out the most. I think that's from my youth is the one I remember hearing the most.
Well, it's popular.
Seeing David Lee Roth, be his eccentric self on stage.
Yeah, it's definitely popular.
The music video was instead of it being a story like a lot of music videos were, it was just the band on stage performing.
Right.
And so I don't know why that's just one always sticks out most.
Interesting. I didn't.
No, I got others though.
No, I know you have others, but is that the best display? I wouldn't say that. Is that the best display of Eddie's talents?
No, the best display of Eddie's talents will come at the end of the show.
Are you going to wait? Are we going to do one for the road? Just that entirety as far as Eddie and his talents?
Maybe.
He's taking his talents to heaven, not South Beach.
It's a minute 42, so that's all that you need.
Is that it?
Yeah, that's the entire song. The entire song is a minute 42 seconds, and that is probably the best display of what Eddie Van Halen did.
All right, well, let's save that for the end of the show in case YouTube censors it. Then I could just snip it out on the stream.
Well, we're not going to play it. We'll talk over it. That'll save it.
Hopefully. I'm with you, man. I think it's a great tease of what's going to happen now moving forward. So people have been responding on Twitter at Shander Show at Ron Culver, 2 N's there. If you want to tag Ron, you might as well. But on the stream right now, we'll chat with Teresa Walker from the Associated Press coming up in 6 minutes down in Nashville. She's based in Nashville, covers the league and the Titans, of course. But I'm wearing that yellow shirt again, and I'm doing it on purpose. And I have my fedora hat on. So all you can see is my floating head with the fedora hat on the stream. And people are commenting on that. And I thought I would just do something different. You see me in front of the same screen, and I could change the background and all, but just figured I would do something different today. And we stumbled upon that one day during the stream where I was racing down with this yellow shirt. And now if I take our buddy S-Rock's comment off, you can see it a little more on the stream, twitch.tv/Shander Show, of course, where we would direct you to watch the show. Ron, you check in every now and again on there as well. Have you seen this?
Your fedora?
The floating head. It's going on right now.
Head?
If you chose to flip it on.
I'm looking at it right now.
Then you would see the floating head is back. And I like this. I like being the floating head. You can see my entire logo below me. Why do you need to see my body? Why do you need to see my hands or anything else?
Very true.
You just see the most important thing is what's coming out of my mouth and then the vehicle to get those words to you, which would be my mouth.
I mean, you're almost perfectly in a circle as well.
Well, it's because of my neck. That's why, because the shirt goes all the way up to the neck.
So if you brought it up to your chin, you might actually be encompassed in that circle.
Well, I could. I mean, technically, right?
Yeah.
There you go. But no, it's tough now because I'll stretch the neck out. Yeah, stretch the neck out with your... Sorry, I don't want your bulbous head stretching the neck out.
No, all you got to do is get a gator.
One of the Boomer Naturals gators?
No.
Oh.
Not theirs.
Okay. Who would I get then? Like a Gators?
Team.
Like a Florida Gators gator?
You can get a Florida Gators. You can get it. I bet you the Eagles have gators.
Do you think that there are Florida Gators just so people down there be like, I'll take one of them Gators?
I think so.
Gators. You would say a gator, not Gators after Gators from Florida Gators, right? You'd say, I'll take one of them Gators.
I don't know. You lost me on, I think, the third gator.
A lot of Gators going on here. What's going on in Nashville? We'll figure that out next. Teresa Walker, our expert on the league and the Titans, coming up in 4 minutes.
You're going on a trip, but where are you going to stay? How much will it cost?
Oh, my goodness.
Shoot Boomer Naturals down.
Yeah, that's great. I forgot. As soon as I said them, I forgot.
Enter your email address and start shopping for your next hotel room. BestHotelRates.com. It's in the name.
I'm going to bring Teresa in with I think one of my past favorite songs of Van Halen, especially the video.
Oh, yeah. You let her know. Give her a heads up.
Oh, no. She'll know. She better know it right away.
Through October 12th.
Liberty Mutual Insurance Company presents and Doug.
Okay, class, let's bump it up to 9.
Come on, Limu, keep pedaling. We got to build our endurance to let more people know that Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance, so you only pay for what you need.
Pick up the pace, bird legs.
Hey, don't talk to Limu like that.
I'm not a I'm talking to you.
Liberty, 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 liberty. Get a customized quote at libertymutual.com.
Hi, this is Jay Farner, CEO of Rocket Mortgage. Making the right financial decisions has never been more important. We can help guide you to those right decisions now when they matter most. Mortgage rates are near historic lows. So when you call 8338-ROCKET or visit us at rocketmortgage.com to start your refinance, you'll be well on your way to saving money every month. The rate today on our 30-year fixed rate mortgage is 3.375%, APR 3.59%. Right now could be a great time for you to take some positive financial steps forward with a cash out refinance from Rocket Mortgage, which could give you the boost that you're looking for. In addition, we may be able to help you refinance with little or no out-of-pocket costs. At Rocket Mortgage, we're committed to every client, every time, no exceptions, no excuses, giving you the best mortgage experience. Call us today at 8338-ROCKET or go to rocketmortgage.com to learn more.
Rates subject to change. Pay 1.875% fee to receive this discounted rate. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
Cleanings, checkups, and cavities? Have Dr. Chang's dental practice at capacity.
Patient in room 1 is getting a root canal. The x-rays in room 2 are going to have to wait. We're down to one hygienist.
It's time to hire.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. The moment you sponsor a job on Indeed, you get a short list of quality candidates from our resume database. Indeed delivers 2.5 times more hires than the other branded job sites combined, according to Breezy HR 2019. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get a $75 credit for your first job post. Terms and conditions apply.
The United States Postal Service has been around since 1775. And since then, you can rely on the Postal Service to make sure what matters to you gets to your mailbox. You'd think you couldn't improve on that. But now, with informed delivery notifications, you'll know when those important packages and letters are coming to your mailbox, with an email every morning telling you what's on the way. It's the reliability
Teresa's ready.
matched with the technology of today. It's time to get peace of mind. Sign up now for free at informeddelivery.com. Informed Delivery. If it's in the mail, it's in your email.
You're listening to The Second Level on the SportsMap Radio Network.
Presented by Rocket Mortgage. Home loans that fit your life. Rocket can.
From the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, with way more than the scores, here's Eitan Shander.
All right, we'll try to go down and figure out what's going on in Nashville. You hear the everlasting sounds of Van Halen, Eddie Van Halen, of course, passing away. We'll continue to play as much as we can from him across the board. We welcome in Teresa Walker, who covers the National Football League, Titans as well, in and around Nashville, all over the country, at Teresa M. Walker's, how you follow her on Twitter. Fantastic, insightful follow on Twitter. Always a pleasure, Teresa. Hope all is well with you and yours, first and foremost.
Well, thank you, Eitan. I'll say this. Luckily, I haven't been around the Titans in 2 weeks, so all is safe and sound on my front.
Fair enough. Now, do you have any – I know this is a really fluid situation as you went 2 days down there covering a team that had no positive tests. Now, all of a sudden, today on Wednesday, we find out 2 more positive tests. What's happening to your knowledge as far as how things have either progressed and then halted, or maybe the immediate future of this Bills game as well?
Well, here's the thing. We talked to Mike Vrabel yesterday, and the hope was that they would get back in the building today. Unfortunately, with this positive test, it kind of resets the clock. So at this point, it might be Saturday before they can get in, and that is if they get a negative test Thursday and Friday. And based on what we've seen since a week ago Tuesday, that's a big if. There's only been the 2 days, Monday and Tuesday, in this stretch without consecutive positives. So at this point, it's wait and see. I mean, the Titans were preparing a week ago to play, if needed, on a Sunday. The challenge with pushing this game to Monday like they did with the Chiefs and the Pats, the Bills are due to host the Chiefs a week from Thursday. So, the NFL's got some decisions to make.
Yeah, and just looking at internally with the Titans, is there the anticipation, at least, that if this building is closed down through Saturday, or at least until Saturday, that it's going to be really difficult to play this game against the Bills, even if it's pushed back Monday or possibly Tuesday?
Well, you won't get that answer from Mike Vrabel. I'll say that. Last week he was like, whatever they want us to do, we'll do. We'll get the game played. Yes, I mean they've got 12 players who are on we're expecting 2 more to be added today with the most recent positive test. 12 players on the reserve COVID list. Okay,
wow,
that doesn't include some of the guys who are hurt. Now the NFL with the expanded practice squad, they've got 16 available. So. They're going to need every one of them at this point. So the one good thing about having not played this past week is hopefully the Titans have healed up. Taylor Lewan, their left tackle, hurt his shoulder in Minnesota, didn't finish the game. But Dory Jackson had been on IR since September 14th, and A.J. Brown had been out the last 2 games with a knee injury. So you might have a chance of getting those 3 back, which would be crucial if they end up having to play this game Sunday or Monday and here's the thing. Maybe the NFL is at a point where they're going to have to do some rescheduling that they didn't want to, but there is the possibility that games maybe get added to the end of the season to try to have that to avoid the massive disadvantage that you could get because right now in New England we're looking at the reports that Stephon Gilmore has tested positive, a third Patriot for them since Saturday when Cam Newton was put on the reserve COVID list. So that's the thing. If this starts spreading. The NFL is going to have to be a little bit more creative.
Teresa Walker joining us from the Associated Press in Nashville at Teresa M. Walker on Twitter. So I'm curious. I know that there's an investigation that's gone in. Do you have any idea what happened, how this thing all started down with the Titans?
No. Mike Vrabel yesterday was asked a couple of different ways, and finally on the second time around, he said he stood by them following the protocols from the NFL. Now, here's the thing, guys. Note that the Patriots not the Patriots. The NFL tweaked their protocols, okay? October 2nd, which was Friday, after these tests had been coming back in from the Titans, they updated their protocols because, it's a pandemic. Sometimes you have to adjust to things as you see them. And, while everybody is looking for a scapegoat, it had to be this person. They knew something. They didn't, or maybe the players were out partying or something. I have not seen anything definitive on any of those chatters. So at this point, it just feels like the NFL is having to, it's a pandemic. I was on a call with the Dr. Alan Sills of the NFL earlier this year and also one with the NFLPA, DeMaurice Smith and Tom Mayer. And they made it very clear, this is a new and evolving virus. And, one of the things that the NFL has changed in the last few days was how they bring in players for workouts. Previously you would have to test and quarantine, and then you could come into the building on the 5th day. Well, the first person placed on the reserve COVID list for the Titans in this outbreak was September 24th. They put a practice squad defensive back, Greg Maven, who they signed 3 days earlier, on the reserve COVID list. So they've expanded the time to bring in players to try to help nip it in the bud there. Was that the way it came in? Nobody knows at this point. So, they're tracing and trying to figure it out, but they haven't shared any details of that just yet.
Wow. Now, if in fact the NFL finds that there was some malfeasance and violation of protocol, that could be as devastating from a loss of personnel standpoint, I would imagine, Teresa, as just having guys test positive in the first place and being off the team. I mean, I would think that there would be suspensions coming down.
Well, that the NFL made it clear on Monday. They sent a memo to all 32 teams saying, listen, follow these protocols or else. And the or else was fines, maybe losing draft picks, getting bumped back on draft picks, or potentially a forfeit of a game. So, in terms of, if you've got a player who might not be following the rules, or you catch them and here's the thing, the Titans, their top draft pick, started training camp on the reserve COVID list. They put him back on that list September 6th, Isaiah Wilson out of Georgia, and they were hoping to maybe get him back this week. So they've had an example inside the Titans to say, okay, guys, this is really serious. He's back on this list for a second time. Mask up, wash your hands, do all the smart things. But again, Eitan, we're in a pandemic. And, now if you find a guy, I've seen the reports that maybe the Titans got together last week. Mike Vrabel told them, made it very clear when asked last Thursday that they told players not to get together, regardless of what the NFL protocols were. Don't get together and work out. So I'll just say this, having been around Mike Vrabel, now this is his third season, if he told players not to do something and they found out that they did anyway, he might not ever admit it, but I would imagine some team punishment would be coming internally. Whatever's allowed under union rules.
Teresa, I'm curious, before I just get a couple questions in on what's happening with New England and that situation, as I know you're paying attention to everything around the league as it's happened. I'm curious if the Titans, let's say, had to postpone this game, and now we've already seen the previous postponement of the Steelers game, and there's no more way to really maneuver through the schedule. And I know we've talked about this as far as, trying to figure out more time on the actual schedule. But I wonder if the NFL would just extend for an 18th week simply for one game, or if the NFL might say, hey, this, and I'm just thinking through this because it's such a bizarre, unique situation where, unlike other sports, I don't know if you can afford to just miss a game in a season with all of the seeding and tie-breaking implications.
Oh, absolutely. And let's not forget the Titans are 3-0.
Right.
So they're still one of the 6 undefeated teams in this league. If they were 0 for right now, it'd be easy enough to say, you know what, maybe we just won't worry about this game, even though the Titans did start 2-4 last year and ended up in the AFC Championship game. This is a team that has its eyes set on winning the AFC South for the first time in 12 seasons and getting to a Super Bowl. They're a team that absolutely thinks that why not us to challenge the Chiefs and the Ravens in the AFC. So, maybe they end up adding an 18th week. Here's the thing, the NFL unfortunately put out their schedule as if it were just an absolute normal year. You look at college, like at Southeastern Conference, didn't start their season until the end of September, trying to give the virus time to calm down. And so far, 2 weeks in, they have been able to play on schedule. So, there's a possibility. I mean, who knows that maybe the end shot of this, Eitan, may end up being that they end up having to push the Super Bowl back. The date, I think, is February 7th in Tampa Bay. Trying to get the games played as much as possible seems to, we're going to find out how committed the NFL is to that because, this virus seems to be making getting the league to a point where some more decisions are going to have to be made.
So I'm curious, as what we've known so far with protocol leading up through practice, game day, and even before this happened with the Titans-Steelers game, knowing how this has worked from Nashville and also a national standpoint, there is a lot of discussion about when Gilmore was positive, if in fact he played that game. I know hugging Patrick Mahomes at the end of it, but I'm curious. I know he was on the flight with Cam Newton because he was in close contact with Cam, and they put a couple of guys who were in that same category on that flight with Cam. But wouldn't he have been tested multiple times over since his arrival in Kansas City through game time kickoff?
Well, that's the thing. Once there's been any kind of an outbreak, the new protocols that came out last Thursday, said that, yes, you continue the daily testing, and for the teams that have been dealing with an outbreak, you would test on game day. And there were reports that the Patriots test on Monday morning came back negative, and they got on the plane to begin with. I mean, that was a long trip for the Patriots. The problem with this virus is that you can test negative until you're positive. And that's why we're seeing some of these protocols being tweaked and changed because, it is what it is. Watch the situation in Washington. I mean, look at how that thing has just exploded. And we were being told that there were negative tests. And then suddenly there's a positive, and that's when everything changes. So you can try to be as careful as you want to. If I'm Kansas City Chiefs fans, I'm probably very, very worried here for the next 2 weeks about Patrick Mahomes.
It's amazing because we'll get reports today that no positive tests. And then, as you mentioned, down with the Titans, 2 straight days of no positive tests, and now you have 2 players with positive tests. There could be a false result that gets everybody okay, let's exhale, no issues here. But then tomorrow, same Chiefs player tests positive and doesn't do anything different with their routine.
Absolutely. But that's the thing, in the memo that Roger Goodell sent to all the teams, he kind of drove it home. Be careful. This is not a time to relax. Make sure you follow all these protocols. So got to feel that all the NFL coaches reminded their players, guys, wash those hands, mask up, don't be going out, and just be very, very careful. There's players on these teams who are new dads, who have, wives or significant others expecting. And, so some of these folks have already been careful. But again, it kind of comes back, Eitan, I keep saying this, it's a pandemic. I've got close friends who've been trying very carefully. They're not NFL players, but they're masked. They're following all the protocols that they've been told and still ended up getting it and kept them sick for a month. I've got another friend who had it in the spring and she's tested positive for it again 4 months later.
Awesome stuff, Teresa. Really appreciate the time, adding so much insight into this wild and fluid situation. I wish you all the best. Thanks as always.
Absolutely. Thank you, and stay safe.
You too. Thanks. Teresa Walker from the Associated Press. At Teresa M. Walker is how you follow her on Twitter. We'll wrap the hour next on The Second Level.
Wake up call. You ever had a buddy that dated a lot and then was like, this is the girl, and you're like, no, it isn't. This is going to fall apart. I'm waiting for the day you call me to tell me you're done with her. That's Atlanta. No Falcon fan goes, this is it. This is the one. They're like, nah, this is going to end up terrible. I don't care. What are we up? 19, 16? It doesn't matter. It's going to end badly.
The only difference is this is your buddy who's been engaged 3 times to 3 different women.
Exactly. Gone registered at the store, right? Picked out a venue, talked to maybe getting a singer and a photographer, and then canceling the wedding. That's the Falcons.
That's the Falcons.
Getting right up to wedding time, and then, this isn't going to work out for us. I'm sorry. Yeah, sorry you paid money to come and rent a tux or show up to and bought us a gift, but we're not getting hitched.
Just left standing at the altar.
That's right. That's the Falcons, you pathetic football team.
Wake up call with Tony B and Ron Culver. Weekday mornings from 7 to 9 Eastern.
Wake up call. If you're a Patriot fan and you're celebrating Brady's failure, I just don't get it. He gave you success as an NFL fan you don't really deserve. You don't deserve 20 years of excellence.
He gave you 2 decades of a dynasty. That's better than anything the NFL has ever produced.
In 20 years of going to the Super Bowls, and let this guy enjoy semi-retirement down in Florida.
Because that's what you do in New England, right? You go down to Florida to retire.
Wake up call with Tony B and Ron Culver. Weekday mornings from 7 to 9 Eastern.
Pushing the odds with Matt Perrault.
So, Jose, I got a question for you. If somebody says, Matt, this is the first time I've ever seen you, because they're watching the live stream, you're not what I thought you looked like.
Oh, boy.
How do you take that?
I would take it as an insult.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Because that means before they saw you, they thought you were hideous.
I wrote back to the person so how am I supposed to take that exactly? You're not what I thought you would look like. And they're trying to cover it by saying, I figured you were older with that voice. What does that mean? They thought I was older than I am.
You don't have an old man voice. I don't buy that.
I'm 43 years old. How old am I supposed to sound? I don't sound like I'm a kid. Who has an old voice? Like Mr. Burns? The line was, hey, Matt, first time I actually see what you look like. Wasn't my visual! ! and then I wrote back, so how do I take that? And the person said, oh, it's all good. I figured you were a lot older with that voice.
Pushing the odds with Matt Perrault. Weekday afternoons from 1 to 4 Eastern.
The Jake Asman Show.
Many times in my life, I've had to share a hotel room with somebody else. My plan of selecting which bed depends on proximity to the air conditioning vent and proximity to the most outlets. I have a lot of things that need to be charged. I need to plug in my fan. I need to charge my phone. I have an Apple Watch. I have a Mophie phone charger case.
We'll grab Ryan for
a
a couple minutes, 5 minutes at 12:40.
The Jake Asman Show. All right.
And then
Mornings
I
from
told him
9
we'll
to
just be
11
quick,
Eastern.
just to kind of gear up for the Masters. But it won't take the segment over.
See, Eddie just wasn't a guitar player. You know that, right?
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, this was
dealing with the root of the issue.
That's why I chose this song, too. He's a piano player in this one.
Right.
Rocket Mortgage.
Live from the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, here's Eitan Shander.
So this song actually has so much working for it where you have everything from the iconic piano playing by Eddie Van Halen to then also the guitar that comes in, which we know is his bread and butter. And then if you really want to look at the all-encompassing impact of this song, it was the godfather. Like, it gave birth to pop-up video.
Yeah.
Think about it, right? I mean, this was the first real pop-up video.
How many times did you watch it? And we couldn't pause live TV back then. You had to wait for it to come around again and try to read.
Or you had to
single
record
thing.
it on a VHS tape.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the only way you could pause it, is if you had the foresight. You'd have to let the VHS tape run for like 2 hours on MTV and just hope that you would get it. Yes. This is a great song, first off. And on top of that, that video, that was something else. It just, you never saw anything like it. It was so innovative. And it wasn't, think about it, MTV was a perfect vehicle for this. And it's no knock, but it just became such a visual thing when they were actually running videos, where a lot of times the song wasn't great, but the video was outstanding. This might be one of those few songs in like that Venn diagram of a really good, great song with a great video.
And I know that there's some controversy around this song because there are going to be those who are David Lee Roth only Van Halen.
And not Sam Hagar?
And not Sammy Hagar.
Yeah.
And this is a Sammy Hagar.
As long as it's Eddie Van Halen doing the majority of music, what the hell do you care?
Right?
Yeah.
That's all that matters.
Like, this is an instrumental. You could play this all over the place. You could play this at sporting events. This is an instrumental. Sammy Hagar, David Lee Roth aside, like, that's such a, for me at least, and I don't claim to be a just historian when it comes to Van Halen, but it's inconsequential.
That song would have been the Bulls song if it wasn't for whoever the announcer was, or whoever the broadcaster was, finding the Alan Parsons song that became that one. But it would have been right now.
Boy, that's tough because I really love the Alan Parsons project. That's just such a perfect fit for that.
It is. I mean, but
right now it's just an awesome song. Can still hear that freaking cricket. S-Rock 25.
Why should
All right, I'll be right
some
back.
teams be allowed to have fans and other teams can't have any? You talk about a disadvantage. I mean, it's that simple. Plus, who wants to go to a Dolphin game anyway? They suck. They're not going to play Tua. They're going to suck anyway like they always do. So who wants to go to a Dolphin game? Joe Ranieri knows they suck too. I wouldn't bet on him if it hit me in the head.
Farrell Coast to Coast with Scott Farrell. Weekdays from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern.
The Jake Asman Show.
Never cap in the NFL again. If the Rams could afford to pay the most amount of money to a defensive player in Aaron Donald and the most amount of money to any secondary player in the history of the NFL and Jalen Ramsey, like, I don't want to hear about the cap. The salary cap is just it's like the Subway $5 footlong. It's just a figment of your imagination. If you need to make it work in the NFL salary cap wise, you can make it work. If you're Subway and you want to lie to everyone for over a decade about the $5 footlong, apparently you can do that without any consequence. The salary cap is a figment of your imagination in the NFL, just as the Subway $5 footlong is a figment of your imagination. It's not real. It's fake. You know, the salary cap's monopoly money. The Subway $5 footlong is a hoax. I think I've gotten to the bottom of it. Anytime I can take a dig at Subway, I got it. My campaign against Subway.
The Jake Asman Show. Weekday mornings from 9 to 11 Eastern.
Are you thinking that it's time to start looking for a new car? Then go to automotivemap.com to see the latest auto news, find out about what's ahead for your favorite brands, and learn how much that new car will cost you. Automotivemap.com is your place to see reviews, check out the hottest exotic cars, read tales from the road, and get acquainted with the luxury automotive lifestyle. Into hot mods? Want to see the cars celebrities drive? Love a good restoration job? From off-roading to on-roading, automotivemap.com has it covered. Visit automotivemap.com today.
Sports Map all night.
I absolutely loved the decision by Matt Nagy. I thought it was a winning move. It sends the clear message as to what your team and what your football culture is going to be about. It's going to be about winning, and it's going to be about competition. Facts are facts, man. Mitch Trubisky was not playing well enough to deserve being the starting quarterback of the Chicago Bears at the point in time when the move was made. And also, look at the numbers. They aren't eye-poppingly great from Nick Foles either. But there was a palpable difference in the tempo of the game, the speed of the offense, the flow for the Chicago Bears, honestly, on both sides of the football. Once Nick Foles took over as quarterback midway through the third quarter, it was clear that they needed to do something. And Matt Nagy took a huge step yesterday, making a franchise-altering decision that also happened to be the one that helped you win the game on the football field.
Sports Map All Night with Bill Schmidt.
Weeknights at 10 Eastern.
Imagine learning about radio and being mentored by true radio professionals in real radio stations. Well, actually, you don't have to imagine, because there's Radio Connection. Radio Connection gives you the opportunity to learn one-on-one and be mentored by radio pros. Plus, you don't have to worry about getting into a crazy amount of debt with school tuition either. Radio Connection keeps their tuition at much lower costs. To find out more info, visit radioconnection.com.
The second level.
Like, not even DK Metcalf going full Leon Lett was a bigger blunder than what Doug Peterson did as far as not going for it, as far as not attempting anything. I honestly can't think of a bigger mental blunder from player or coach yesterday across the NFL than what Doug Peterson did.
The second level with Eitan Shander, weekdays from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern.
Wake up call. Starting with the Arizona Cardinals hosting the Washington Redskins. Oh, come on. Dwayne Haskins. Kyle Murray. Come on.
No, you were wrong there.
Why?
The Washington football team.
Did I say Redskins?
You did.
I should find myself a dollar every time I do it this season.
That's $1 in the old
so I'm
R
going to
jar.
put that in the R jar at the house, and at the end of the season, I'll see how much I have.
Probably would pay for your fantasy football league.
You're probably right, because I'm not going to win this year. Because my number one pick, Michael Thomas, has an ankle injury that's probably going to plague him all year.
Probably.
Remember when we talked about Kevin Durant in basketball? We were like, when is he coming back from that? It's going to be like that. Michael Thomas is just going to be out every game, but every week you're going to be like, he could come back. He's looking better. And then Sunday, he's not playing. It'll be like that for 9 straight weeks. All right, so $1 is in the R jar because I mentioned Redskins.
Wake up call with Tony D and Ron Culver. Weekday mornings from 7 to 9 Eastern.
Coast to coast. Stop with the Jeff Van Gundy for the 1,000th time getting every job that's open in the NBA for the last 15 years. The guy's got the cushiest job in television. If he comes back after what has it been, 20 years to coach, I'll keel over. I mean, he's been offered every job in America. He's been offered the White House, and he turned that down too.
Farrell Coast to Coast with Scott Farrell. Weekdays from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern.
Jay Farner here, CEO of Rocket Mortgage. Making the right financial decisions has never been more important. When you turn to Rocket Mortgage, we can help guide you to those right decisions now when they matter most. Mortgage rates are near historic lows, so now is a great time to call 8338-ROCKET. And if you need some extra money, a cash-out refinance could give you that financial boost you're looking for. Call today at 8338-ROCKET or go to rocketmortgage.com to learn more.
Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
This is a Gow Media property in partnership with Jacob Media.
Set your system's volume control for slightly above the normal listening level.
Let's go. Second level thinking is defined as looking beyond the easy, obvious conclusions.
You got to do some smart thinking.
Welcome to the second level on the Sports Map Radio Network, a show where we go beyond the box score.
Presented by Rocket Mortgage. Home loans that fit your life. Rocket can.
Live from the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, here's Eitan Shander.
Well, we know COVID is not going away by any means, both in and around the world of sports, our country as well. NFL is finally dealing with it. and we continue to get information to see how this is going to impact the Patriots. Stephon Gilmore testing positive. 2 more Titans this morning testing positive. We also had a pretty big game last night amidst a season and stretch of a finals where not many people, at least we're told, are watching. And for whatever reason, it's out there, and we talked about the ratings element of it last night. But as far as the games are concerned, LeBron James was all over the place. The Miami Heat did their best with Bam back to keep it close, but James was the real storyline. And when this thing is over, maybe people look at it. That's another thing. Maybe people have lost interest simply because they know it's not a real postseason. You're not traveling. They're not fans. All of those elements that make up a real postseason. But just to get ahead of this before it happens, this is one of those games you go back to when people are questioning who they played this year, when people are questioning the fact that it was in the bubble and they didn't have to go on the road to Miami, although they're technically everybody's on the road. This was one of those legacy games by LeBron. This is one of those games in which he had his fingerprints all over the place to the point where he was influencing everything, especially on defense, which doesn't get talked about enough. Doesn't mean he was the best defensive player out there. It's just as far as what he was able to do to influence everything. And it was outside of the closeout, which is going to happen game 5, the most important game of the series, probably more important than that since it now puts them in position to close out. And we know that the Heat aren't going to win 4 straight or 3 straight, pardon me. With that said, LeBron did his everything he possibly could mode last night, and it was way more than Miami can handle. Fun to watch, but the Heat are over.
Jay Farner, CEO of Rocket Mortgage. Making the right financial decisions has never been more important. We can help guide you to those right decisions now when they matter most. Mortgage rates are near historic lows.
Floating
So
head.
when you call 8338-ROCKET or visit us at rocketmortgage.com to start your refinance, you'll be well on your way to saving money every month. The rate today on our 30-year fixed-rate mortgage is 3.375%, APR 3.59%. Right now could be a great time for you to take some positive financial steps forward with a cash-out refinance from Rocket Mortgage, which could give you the boost that you're looking for. In addition, we may be able to help you refinance with little or no out-of-pocket costs. At Rocket Mortgage, we're committed to every client, every time, no exceptions, no excuses, giving you the best mortgage experience. Call us today at 8338-ROCKET or go to rocketmortgage.com to learn more.
Rates subject to change. Pay 1.875% fee to receive this discounted rate. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
Listen up, sports bettors. This is Hall of Famer Warren Sapp here to tell you about my favorite sports book, BetUS.com. Football, basketball, and baseball are all back, and that means it's time to get down your bets. Just like me, BetUS is the Hall of Famer of online betting with more than 25 years in the biz. Join now, get up to 150% in bonuses on your first deposit. I play at BetUS, and so should you. Call today at 1-800-69-BET-US. That's 1-800-MY-BET-US. Tell them Sapp sent you.
Attention.
Who?
If you or a loved one took
sent you?
Belviq or Belviq XR for weight loss, call the Belviq Advocates at 1-888-743-7254.
Who was that? Who sent you?
You may be at increased risk for cancer, including pancreatic, colorectal, and lung cancer, and you may be entitled to a compensation. Call for a free
we
review
know?
of your case at 1-888-743-7254.
Who was that who said I'll send you? I sent you,
In
Rod.
February
Do you know?
2020, the FDA requested that the manufacturer of Belviq withdraw the drug from the market due to cancer findings.
Yo.
Call so that we can fight for a compensation to cover your medical bills and more. If you've been diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, colorectal, or lung cancer after using the weight loss drug Belviq or Belviq XR, call the Belviq Advocates now for a free consultation. You may be owed a significant compensation. Call 1-888-743-7254. 1-888-743.
You want a cool Eddie Van Halen story that circulated around from time to time?
Yeah, let's do
Prior
it.
to discontinuation.
Okay.
Medication. Results may vary.
The really big fall sale's begun.
Or maybe I should do, you know what? No, I'm going to save it.
Fake
I'm gonna
news? You
I'm
want to
gonna
do an Eddie
Van Halen fake
news with Eddie? Look at
Eddie
you.
Van Halen fake news. How about that?
Oh, it was Warren Sapp, Justin
You're
Mater
going on a
Sports
trip,
on
but
Twitch.
where are
Man,
you
I
gonna
should be
stay?
paying
How
attention to
much will it
Twitch. I'm
cost?
asking Ron.
Well, it'll cost less.
Look at
by
this.
booking on best
What are you asking me?
The Twitch community came through.
Enter your email address. and
Justin
start
Mater,
shopping
our
for your
buddy
next
Justin
hotel
Mater,
room.
Justin_Mater_sports on Twitch. I was asking you who's voicing that commercial because I came in late.
Yeah, Warren Sapp.
Well, yeah. Thanks for nothing. Thanks to Justin.
All right, don't bother me. I got to do some writing.
Dealing with the root of the issues. It's the second level on the SportsMap Radio Network.
Presented by Rocket Mortgage.
Live from the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios. Here's Eitan Shander.
I have just been informed that in 14 minutes, we will have a special Eddie Van Halen version of fake news. And I can't wait for this. Earlier in the show, as we spoke with Teresa Walker from the Associated Press down in Nashville, covers the league and Titans, of course, got a comment, SRock25, and you can follow along on the stream, twitch.tv/Shander Show. On Twitter, we're at Shander Show, at Ron Culver, 2 N's. And you even have a phone number we give you, 800-224-2004. So SRock25 hits us up. How far does this got to go until we start to worry about the season? And it's a very interesting question because we were here before. We were here with Major League Baseball. Even when the bubble was created with MLS, we were there to the point where we were concerned. And I do think, honestly, when you look at the big picture here, it's going to take a lot more than this for the NFL to even flinch. I don't think the NFL is even in flinch mode right now. The NFL can barely be bothered when it comes to major shift in what they're going to do. This is not, what do they used to call it when it was like code red, or there was another phrase where it was even worse than that. But this is not that point. You're not at code red, code yellow, code orange, code whatever it may be. I think they're looking right now in front of them, and they see two separate situations that they're dealing with. Stephon Gilmore, the cornerback, up in New England. And yes, it's a bit like Cam Newton. When you have the NFL, the reigning NFL Defensive Player of the Year test positive for COVID-19, yes, it's going to be a big story, probably bigger than the practice squad guy who's on that list, despite us not knowing if, in fact, he has it, versus just came into contact with Cam and was placed on that list. But we are a long ways. And look, SRock25 and others, I'm not saying that you're wrong to ask that question by any means. I think it's a great question. I just think we have to be honest that the NFL has had two things work in their favor. One, they saw how MLB initially botched everything. And look, Major League Baseball thought they could get through a season without needing to go to the bubble at all, and they had to for the postseason. And it's a great move. Going to the bubble is a great move. But we also need to factor in the NFL right now isn't even talking about a bubble. It's just simply trying to get through two isolated incidents. The Titans might miss another week. 2 more players today test positive. They've got 11 guys on that list. Actually, I think it's going to be up to 14 technically on that list once these 2 guys are added. That's a lot. And that might be enough. But you know what? The league, again, best verb I can use here is flinch. The league doesn't flinch. They don't bat an eye at it. It's a race right now where you've got 32 teams in each lane running and somebody falls down. Titans are down on the ground. Do you think somebody stops and lifts? And I got you. No, they keep moving. Oh, it's a shame. And they keep moving. Doesn't mean they don't care about the individual or individuals. Like we care about the well-being and safety and health of these professional athletes. I'm saying as far as let's stop everything and make sure that Titans are good before we resume. That's not going to happen. I think you would have to get to a point. Here's where to answer your question. We would have to get to a point where half of the league can't play. Half of the league right there. would be unable to play. That, I think, is where we at least begin the conversation of, man, this league is in trouble. Not to say that if you had 3 teams off, 3 games off, people wouldn't be panicking. I know people would be panicking. I wouldn't be panicking. Definitely can recognize 2 separate, non-competing themes here. This virus is a pain in the you-know-what, and is invisible and very difficult to control and is not going anywhere anytime soon. Second statement, the NFL can survive without 3 games on the schedule. Doesn't diminish my care nor concern about COVID-19, but when we look at what the NFL has done collectively with every single team and the protocol that's ramped up, 3-4 games off on a week, it's not going to feel the same, but nothing has felt the same in 2020. Nothing. Everything is different this year. So you might have to go into a shortened Sunday. You might see 2 games on Monday and a game on Tuesday, which would be awesome, by the way. Now, I don't want those means to go down in which we have to deal with COVID. But again, the NFL just finds a way to win. The NFL, let's just look at this scenario here. 4 games on Sunday have to be moved. 1 gets postponed. 1's bad. All right, we saw that already with the Titans. 1 is bad. Has to be moved. Now you're down to 3. You move 1 to Monday and 2 to Tuesday night. That alone would be insane. You don't have anything close to that going on. You just don't. You don't have anything at all that's close to football now, where you still have the Monday, or maybe they do 2 on Monday and 1, it would have to be 2 total, so 3 on Monday and 1 on Tuesday. I think the doubleheader on Tuesday would be absolutely insane. Are you kidding me? Now, again, the means are terrible, but look, the NFL is set up right now to where it's always going to win. Baseball, you run a doubleheader, a 7-inning doubleheader that starts at 12:30 in the afternoon on a Tuesday. Nobody in their right mind is going to watch that. You run a football game at 7 o'clock and 9 o'clock Eastern time on a Tuesday night. Guess what? Everybody is watching that. You have just created, due to circumstance, a new primetime event that has never existed before. It's crazy what's happened here and how the NFL is built in for this. Justin Mater Sports on Twitch weighs in. The league is already planning numerous dates for the Super Bowl, building in the room for added bye weeks. Sorry. Exactly right. If, in fact, multiple teams test positive, multiple teams have to take the week off, even if it is 4 or 5 teams as bad as the Titans, oh my goodness, what do we do? What do we do? Well, as Justin Mater Sports on Twitch just reminded us, they have a nice little cushion where they can fall back. A couple of weeks where they can maneuver. Yeah, for 1 team, 2 games, if you will, maybe not. But for 6 or 7 games, you can make them up then. Easily make them up then, even if it's through the course of multiple weeks in which they accrue. Wild, but even on a day in which we're struggling to find out what exactly is going on and how, in fact, the positive test up in New England is going to impact this week's specific game against the Broncos, we still have a lot right now to come down before any major decision would be made. That would be it. Any major decision truly would be made. Now, I'm looking at this, and I'm a little surprised by this, so I want to read through because I just saw this pop up. But apparently Ben Roethlisberger is upset, quoted as saying today, "Of course, we got the short end of the stick," audibly frustrated with the ramifications of the Steelers' schedule, that they had to take a bye now and not later in the year. The timing of the bye week, which was just a 3-day break after the Steelers obtained special permission from the league to resume practice on Monday, was especially frustrating. I'm reading here from the report for Ben Roethlisberger. He felt he was finally getting in a rhythm in the first 3 games after a year off following season-ending elbow surgery. Listen, Big Ben or Big Neck, as we now can call you, the people that are getting the short end of the stick is the team that now has to play you off of a bye week. I don't care what timing or rhythm or anything like that you think you established in 3 weeks. You haven't. That's not going anywhere. What's helping you is a week off of not having your lineman bang into what would be the equivalent of a brick wall 50, 60 times. Having guys around you get healthy, especially with all of the stress that they put in areas where it's prone, soft tissue issue, prone for injury. And you do need a stretch. That's why guys take off week 3, 4, usually, right? All the time in the preseason. After you build up. This would be the equivalent of it. You've had 4 games right now. You had 3. Okay, well, treat it like you would the preseason. They're going to be off anyway. You didn't have any preseason. Just shut up, will you? Shut up and take the gift, put your head down, and walk out of the office. Somebody right next to you just got screwed over, and you want us to feel sorry for you. How about something about the Eagles? 8-point favorite that opened up. Now it's down to 7 because of the bye week that you, Big Neck, had. And you want us to feel sorry? You even get 5,500 fans at Heinz Field this weekend. What are you talking about? You want us to feel sorry for you because you got a bye week early on? Who outside the most diehard, colorblind in the sense of seeing all yellow or all black, who in their right mind would defend this notion? Yeah, we get it, dude. You didn't just sit on the couch all day, as he was quoted. But you were also able, as a team, to get just a little healthier. As a team, spend even more time practicing against another football squad, one that you're better than, clearly, but now it's an added advantage. These things are all connected. Any advantage the Steelers lost down the line, they got this week. It's all about makeup calls. It's that same thing there. Yeah, you might have got bent over there, but you know what? At the same time, later on down the game, there's that makeup call. Something happened, a bad call was blown, but at the same time, there's that makeup call. Unbelievable, this guy. Well, I'm going to have to bite in him. Will you just shut up, man? Fake news, Eddie Van Halen edition. Can't wait for this. Coming up next on The Second Level.
The Second Level.
I'm out on Jake. I'm totally out on Jake. He's a great kid, great young man. I wish him the best. But I'm no longer going to be online. I'll be listening to the show before my show and everything, but he's no longer welcome on this program. Is that enough? Is that enough of a statement there? I'm sorry. I told you I am incredibly petty. I cannot be happy for this young man, and I should be. All he is a bright-eyed individual who's thrilled and happy and doesn't take 1 second of airtime for granted. He's great at what he does. He'll work 8 days a week. He's got an incredible ethic, and he's also talented. But I can't be happy for him because he's verified, and he won't tell me what he did to get verified. I can't deal with it. Muted. I'm done.
The Second Level with Eitan Shander, weekdays from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern.
Wake up call. The greatest crime-fighting duo in the early 80s television. Ralph, he couldn't fly with the suit because he lost the instruction manual.
But he was able to solve a crime within an hour.
If you do get a super suit from an alien being, don't lose the instruction manual. It's very, very important. Keep it in the drawer where you keep all the other instruction manuals, like for your KitchenAid.
Wake Up Call with Tony B and Ron Culver, weekday mornings from 7 to 9 Eastern.
Wake up call. Derek Carr.
Derek Carr, yeah. Gruden's kind of ticked off at him.
Yeah. Derek Carr last Sunday decided to call an audible.
I could see him going, Derek, now you got to pick other names besides my wife. I got to be honest with you. She's not a huge fan of being on it. And I'm not really either, but it'd be better if you just didn't mention her name. But what if Derek Carr goes, it was the ultimate compliment? I was calling a hot route and your wife is hot.
Would you want Derek Carr, who's a good-looking man, be calling your wife out for being hot? And not only that, but in the same context of Tiger Woods. Okay, you called a hot route. What's Tiger Woods mean?
True. Good point. That combination doesn't work. No. If I was Gruden, I wouldn't mind mentioning the wife, but not in the same sentence as Tiger Woods.
Wake Up Call with Tony B and Ron Culver. Weekday mornings from 7 to 9 Eastern.
If business, pleasure, or sports fandom takes you to Houston, Dallas, Austin, Fort Worth, or San Antonio, check out CultureMap.com to get the scoop on the local favorites. From the best restaurants, bars, pubs, and clubs to the biggest sights and sounds each city has to offer, CultureMap has it all. Just head over to CultureMap.com. The expert team personally reviews and visits each spot to make sure you get the best experience. And if you're coming back, sign up for free Culture Map updates at CultureMap.com.
So, can I ask you a question?
Fake news with Ron. With all the fake news out there,
Don't believe those lies.
it's on Shander to give it to you straight. 3 stories, but only one is fake.
It's true. I know it's a weird thought, but it's true.
Can Shander spot the fraud? Here's Ron Culver.
Oh, I'm good. So excited about this.
Yeah, me too. I'm
Test
yeah.
Van Halen knowledge to the masses.
I'm pretty excited about this too.
Do you feel confident though?
Nope.
Nope.
No.
Well, you know the deal. 3 stories. 2 of them are real. 1 of them is fake. In honor of the late, great Eddie Van Halen, we're doing an all Eddie Van Halen fake news.
Yep.
So I got 3 fun stories that are unique.
Okay.
That you may have heard of.
Now, one of them's fake, right?
Recently. One is a fake
Good.
story.
Okay. I just want to make sure we keep the integrity of the segment here. My goodness.
We got the integrity of the segment.
All right.
And I'm trying to make it a little difficult, but we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. Maybe it's easy. I
Yeah.
don't know.
We'll see.
All right. Ready for story number 1?
Let's do it.
As we all know, musicians usually have diva-type requests in their contracts with venues, right?
Mm-hmm.
Van Halen used to ask for a bowl of M&Ms with all the brown ones taken out.
Any reason as to why the brown ones would be out?
Their request is absolutely pure genius.
Okay.
Do you want me to tell you it or?
Well, you tell me. Is that going to give it away or not?
I don't know if it will.
Well, yeah, go ahead. What was the reason why?
The reasoning behind them asking for all the brown M&Ms was to make sure that whoever where the concert venue was being held and whoever was in charge actually read the contract.
That's actually pretty. Now, okay, well, what happened if they didn't and they show up and they have a bunch of brown M&Ms? Are they going to cancel the show?
I don't know if they'd cancel the show. They'd probably make whoever the roadies were or whoever the concert venue was, work double time because their feelings were that their shows were so technical with the lighting.
Yeah, that you had to follow everything. Okay.
Everything had to be done to their specifications. Had to be perfect.
Boy, if this is fake and you made this up, we might have to retire the segment on this alone.
Maybe.
All right, that's story 1.
Story 1. Story number 2. Eddie Van Halen lent his talents. We talked about it. We discussed it earlier. He did the guitar riff and beat it. Right?
Yes.
You remember we talked about
Oh,
that?
yeah, the most famous 32-second riff of all time.
Right. Well, did you know he also lent his talents? He didn't really take credit for it, but he lent his talents to a famous movie track as well.
Now, boy, I did not see this populate at all on social, which makes me start to second guess the truth of it. And I'm thinking you could have just found a famous guitar solo riff and just thought, well, the likelihood of Shander knowing who did this is nil. I can just pin it right on Van Halen. See, I am
complete.
Yes, you would, especially on this segment. Man, that's a tough one. So, allegedly, Eddie Van Halen was the guitarist behind this famous song of the Top Cruise Top Gun soundtrack.
Top Gun anthem.
Yeah. Tough one. I do not know. Right off the bat, my initial inclination is to say you are lying, sir, but let's listen to the third one.
All right, third story. I'm going to leave this down a little bit because, the telltale sign of whether or not this is Halen is towards the end. But the third one is that Eddie Van Halen once asked Alice Cooper to book him a guitar lesson with Glenn Campbell, since Campbell and Cooper were best friends.
Interesting.
So there you go. 3 stories about Eddie Van Halen, but one of them is fake.
Now, the last one, see, the second and third stories are complete opposite, but they get you to the same end, which is one is there where you have a bizarre scenario to get you to something that's like, okay, over the top, but definitely real. Could be real, at least in the Top Gun theory. And then the third one is almost too believable, if that makes sense, right? Like, yeah, okay, yeah, access to Alice Cooper, and, why wouldn't he? That's the tough part about it, is I'm trying to go through. Now, the first story itself.
All right, here you go. There's the telltale sign.
All right, I'm going to say, now, story one, just to recap story one more time.
Story number 1, as we all know, musicians have usually put...
That's right, the brown M&Ms.
Diva type thing in contracts. Van Halen used to request that all the brown M&Ms were removed from a gigantic bowl of M&Ms.
This could be like Katy Perry, and you just took it and said, oh, yeah, I remember that weird idiosyncratic thing Katy Perry did before every show.
Come on now. I don't follow Katy Perry that much.
Oh, man. I am thoroughly, utterly confused here.
Yeah, well, you know what?
That you just played the Top Gun riff, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so that I'm going to say story 2 is real. I'm going to say story 3 is real because, see, the problem with 3 is that it's believable, but I would have to truly know, I think, and follow all 3 of those individuals to know if that story was really false.
If you want me to help you out, Glenn Campbell was a very famous country singer.
Yes, no, I'm
okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And
like
Alice Cooper is.
It's 3 really big names in
most
music.
intelligent man ever to be a front man for a rock group. Well, what does your gut tell you?
Story 1 is fake.
Story 1 is fake.
Yeah,
that's your gut.
Yeah.
See, I think I might have overplayed my hand here. Because I thought for sure you were going to get this one right. But story number 2
is fake.
Had you stayed with your gut.
Yeah, that's what my initial gut said.
That was your gut.
Yeah.
Yeah, story number 1 is real. Van Halen used to request all the brown M&Ms be removed from the M&Ms. That way they made sure that whoever they were drawing the contract with read all the details, all their specifications. Because if they showed up to their dressing room and saw a bowl full of M&Ms with brown M&Ms in it, they knew that they didn't read the contract. And a lot of times they would just, either make them.
It's a really great idea, yeah.
Postpone the show. Yeah, I mean, it's brilliant. And at the time when that was happening, everyone was like, oh, they're just being eccentric. And story number 3 is real. It was revealed after Glenn Campbell had passed away. Alice Cooper was in an interview, and Alice Cooper and Glenn Campbell were really close. They were really, really close friends. And he revealed that Eddie Van Halen once approached him to asked him if he could ask Glenn Campbell for guitar lessons.
It's amazing.
That's how good of a guitar player Glenn Campbell was.
Really? That speaks a lot that he would seek out.
Eddie, I mean, you don't even think Glenn Campbell is a guitar player.
No, and especially in regards to
Cowboy.
Right. That's it. Yeah. Unbelievable, man.
But the Top Gun anthem, everyone always confuses and thinks that is Eddie Van Halen when it's not.
Got it.
It's never been Eddie Van Halen. Maybe he's played it in a show,
But
just
never,
because,
ever.
But that
Right.
wasn't his original.
Yeah.
That's Eddie Van Halen for you.
It's amazing, man, just to see those stories come to life like that. It's pretty cool, man. Really cool. We'll check in with our pal Ryan Ballingy. What's happening as we prepare for the Masters? Also, news on the Jets next.
CEO of Rocket Mortgage. Making the right financial decisions has never been more important. When you turn to
That one story with Glenn Campbell, though, that trips people up because, like, okay, Eddie and Alice make sense talking to each other, but why the hell would Eddie Van Halen ask Glenn Campbell for guitar lessons?
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Refinance could,
but it's a true story. Unless Alice Cooper was lying, but I doubt he would.
Or go to rocketmortgage.com to learn more.
Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states.
Yeah,
NMLS
that
number
something like that I would never have. I wouldn't have known until today.
Yeah.
Get styles with your
And then the Brown M&M story is just pure genius. Makes you think like, oh, maybe that's why other artists are doing it.
more of your favorite designers for
Except for Mariah Carey, she's just a nut job.
Yeah, it really is.
the boots, shoes, and booties. And prep your kitchen
Well, she
with
is, I
20
should
to
say,
50%
but yeah, that
off
is.
roasting pans, cookware, and more. Plus, Star Rewards members earn rewards faster during Star Money bonus days now at Macy's. Savings off regular sale and clearance prices. Exclusions apply.
Third floor study hall. My dining room table. Homeroom Monday and Tuesday. My living room Wednesday to Friday.
Wherever school happens for you this year, Staples has amazing prices on everything your student needs. This week, get 20% off copies and prints for school. That's 20% off posters, worksheets, schedules, and reports. Shop in-store or pick up curbside. School on, save on. Staples. Visit staples.com/schoolprinting for coupon. In-store only. Exclusions apply. Ends 10/31. Curbside available in most stores.
Pro Extra is the Home Depot's free loyalty program built for pros. Members earn perks just for shopping, like new Pro Extra dollars or tool rental perks. Get exclusive benefits every day that save time and money. And here's an extra, $20 off your next in-store purchase of $200 or more, just for signing up. Want to save? Join Pro Extra, only at the Home Depot. How doers get more done. Visit the Pro Desk in-store or at homedepot.com/Pro Extra for details.
The United States Postal Service has been around since 1775, and since then, you can rely on the Postal Service to make sure what matters to you gets to your mailbox. You'd think you couldn't improve on that. But now, with informed delivery notifications, you'll know when those important packages and letters are coming to your mailbox, with an email every morning telling you what's on the way. It's the reliability of the United States Postal Service matched with the technology of today. It's time to get peace of mind. Sign up now for free at informeddelivery.com. Informed Delivery. If it's in the mail, it's in your email.
Liberty Mutual Insurance Company customizes your home insurance so you only pay for what you need.
As a minimalist, paying less for insurance is more.
Nice place. Is your house a bubble?
It's a dome. I find corners unnecessary.
At Liberty Mutual, that's how we feel about overpaying for insurance.
But I do miss having shelves.
What would you put on?
Ryan's ready.
Awesome. Thank you,
Only
sir.
pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Boy, I can't believe it's Wednesday, man. Thursday, technically, for you.
Dealing with the root of the issues. It's the second level on the SportsMap Radio Network.
Presented by Rocket Mortgage.
Live from the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios. Here's Eitan Shander.
More Van Halen as we remember the amazing talents of Eddie Van Halen through sound. We can't talk so much about it without playing it. And it is our pleasure to welcome back to the program as we are all gearing up for the Masters next month. Ryan Ballingy, at Ryan Ballingy on Twitter, at Golf Newsnet is the Twitter account for thegolfnewsnet.com. The Break is the daily newsletter where you should be signed up, getting everything you can on a daily basis to consume about the world of golf. How are you, my friend?
Hey, Tom, how's it going, man?
Not bad, not bad. What's the first Van Halen song that comes to mind to you?
Actually, it was the one you played.
Is that right?
I've been humming it to myself because it's Be Love, like for like 12 hours now when I've been awake. That was the first one I thought of when I saw the tweet come across my timeline yesterday. And then I've been bombarded with just these really interesting videos of Eddie Van Halen, the person, what he went through in life, and how he developed this incredible talent. I mean, it's a very sad moment, but to learn so much about a guy in his passing and how loved he was is also pretty cool to see too.
It is amazing with all of these stories that come out that you either didn't know or maybe just heard and thought it could have been a rumor or only knew like half of the story itself, and everything comes out now, especially with social media. We were talking about him, Ryan, in the context of there are probably 2, maybe 3 people you can really claim as alongside Jimmy as one of the best, as the best guitarist of all time. And it kind of reminded us of the Tiger versus Jack talk, where there really isn't anybody else you could throw into that conversation. I know you can make arguments for, but it always seems to boil down to 2, and it kind of reminded us of the Jimmy and Van Halen combo.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of the videos I saw this morning was, I don't remember when the clip was, but it was a buddy of mine, Rob Miller, tweeted it, and he was listening to Eddie Van Halen give a talk of some kind, and he was kind of going through how he learned from Jimmy Page, kind of how he moved his fingers along the guitar, and just to watch him effortlessly make incredible sound with that instrument. And it's just like, you're not that good at anything. You are not that good at breathing, and he is good at that. And that is unbelievable.
It's awesome to see that. All right, let's look. We know we have the Masters a couple of weeks away. We have to wait until November for that. But I wonder, how big of a victory is it where you have a guy who hasn't won on the PGA Tour in 3 years as far as the Masters is concerned, with Sergio getting that win at Sanderson Farms? I know it's big for him, but is this something that you think can provide any type of momentum moving forward, or is this just a sense of relief for a guy who's kind of been up and down?
Maybe a little bit of momentum. I mean, I have been saying for a couple of weeks now, it looked like Sergio was starting to maybe piece some things back together. And then he went and putted with his eyes closed. And I was like, okay, maybe I'm completely wrong, because who does that? And then that tells you how good of a ball striker Sergio Garcia is, that he won the tournament putting with his eyes closed. Like that is not a sustainable strategy in golf. And he won a PGA Tour event that way. Does that mean that he's going to putt with his eyes closed at Augusta? God, I hope not. That would be a disaster. But it did seem to be a culmination of some improvements and some regaining of confidence. So, I mean, if you felt like taking a huge flyer on him, I imagine he's like 80 or 90 to 1, even with the win, given all the good players in front of him. But I guess, but I don't see him suddenly becoming a contender for a second major.
Fair enough. And I think it's, especially if we're talking about long shot, it might even be like top 20 type finish as opposed to just flat out winning something, I would imagine. That's probably the better money.
Yeah, I mean,
if there's even money there.
And the way that you think about the Masters with, 90 players, 95 players, half of them are pretty much dead weight to begin with, because they're either past champions who aren't going to get to the cut, or they're first timers, they're not going to win. So almost by default, you have a better chance at top 20 bets across the board at the Masters. And I could see that as a reasonable play.
So we're clearly seeing this impact right up to the NFL. Nobody can get away from this. It's definitely still present and serious. Tony Finau, I see 14th player to test positive on tour. Is this, it didn't seem like we had a stretch of weeks where guys were testing positive and having to withdraw. It seems like for whatever reason, there was a sense of containment up until this announcement.
Yeah, and I guess the U.S. Open, too. We had Scotty Scheffler have to withdraw, who was one of the pre-tournament kind of sexy under the radar favorites among people in the know. He had to withdraw. Sam Horsfield, who won 2 events of the European Tours. UK Swing had to withdraw, a really up-and-coming young talent along the lines of Scheffler. And then we've got Finau this week. We had a couple of names withdraw last week on the LPGA, or I should say ahead of this week's major on the LPGA. So it seems like it's not a prevalency issue yet, I don't think. But if you kind of keep going along this path where you have week after week of significant players withdrawing, then maybe that becomes a concern. But to have one here and there, especially where we are right now in the schedule, especially on the PGA Tour side, with players kind of swooping in and swooping out because of the fall series and the fall nature of the schedule, we're probably going to see one at least a week, and the PGA Tour has to make sure they catch it quickly, make sure they don't get into the tournament facility, they don't infect other players, they don't continue things, and then it's up to the players to make smart choices when they're away from tournaments. But the next couple of weeks, we're going to have 2 events in Vegas, so we have a little mini Vegas bubble, and we've got 2 limited field events after this week's open event, so short fields, and they're most likely going to be mostly the same players. So I would expect maybe not a ton of positives, but you never know coming off of several weeks away.
Ryan Ballinger joining us. I'm curious, when you look at the next couple of tournaments we have, as you laid out the schedule before we hit the Masters in the middle of November, is there a golfer who can use the next 3-4 tournaments to improve enough to improve his standings in your eyes as far as a competitor and really contender for the tournament?
I mean, I guess our guy to think about is Brooks Koepka. He tweeted just a little before this that he's coming back next week at the CJ Cup, which will be at Shadow Creek in Vegas. So this is going to be his return, and I guess he's going to probably play next week. I don't know if he would play the following week with the event at Sherwood, the Zozo Championship, which will be in Los Angeles instead of Japan. If he does, I mean, I figure he's going to play at least once, but maybe twice. That's the chance to see, okay, what did the last 2 months, what did skipping the U.S. Open, what did trying to rehab this injury that he's had for more than a year now, what did that do for him? And will that mean some viability, a resurgence, getting back to form, or is it just going to be a continued learning process, getting back into the swing of things, and you just kind of shove him aside for Augusta? So, I mean, he's the name that immediately comes to mind. Is I want to see what he's got next week, and if it looks anything like something that can contend at the Masters, you got to jump all over.
And I guess the health is always going to be a concern. It's just such a variable where even if he plays, let's say 2 straight weeks, is that really enough for you to lift the concern about his health?
Maybe. And I only say that because we're not going to see that much more of him the rest of this year, right? Like it's going to be
that's fair.
Week, maybe Zozo, and then the Masters, and then we're done. So all he's got to do is stay upright for basically 3.5 weeks. If he can do that, then maybe he can win the Masters. Maybe he doesn't. But I think that the CJ Cup at least gives us some sense of where he's at, and hopefully if he can stay healthy through that tournament, he will be fine playing the Masters.
So we've got a couple of weeks to lead up to this. We'll have a couple of tournaments to talk about as well, and we can get more specific as we ramp up to the actual Masters tournament itself. But just from an outside perspective now, and the first real week, I guess, of October, what should we expect? And things can change, I know that, but what should we realistically expect from Tiger?
Man, I wish I knew that. I really don't know. I mean, my general expectations for Tiger since the restart have been he will come back and hit the ball pretty well from tee to green. He'll give himself a reasonable number of opportunities to score, but he's been a horrible putter. I mean, he's basically been 150th, 160th on the PGA Tour in strokes gained putting, and that's not going to cut it. I mean, that's Sergio Garcia territory where like, you give yourself a ton of chances and you make none of them. You finish T35. That's the best you can do because you got to see putts go in the hole. You got to make birdies. So if there's any silver lining to what Tiger is going to be doing in the going into the Masters, one, he knows Augusta better than anybody. Two, he's the defending champion in what is increasingly turning out to be a miraculous event. And then three, he's going to play his one and only warm-up tournament at Sherwood Country Club for the Zozo Championship, where he is the defending champion and won his silly season event 5 times. So if there is a singular place that can build confidence for him going into a tournament that he should be more singularly confident than anybody else, it's this little 1-2 that we've got right here.
Amazing. And just indulge me here for a second, Ryan. What would the storyline truly be, if in fact he found a way to win this thing?
I mean, I would think it would be the greatest achievement by a sporting athlete in the advanced stages of their career in the history of sport.
That's a perfect way to put that. Wow.
I mean, that's it, right? I mean, winning two. There are 3 people who've won back-to-back Masters: Tiger, Jack, and Nick Faldo. And if Tiger were to become the 4th person to do it and the only guy to do it twice, especially at this stage of his life and what this year has looked like for him. I mean, that's just mind-boggling stuff if that happens.
Awesome stuff, Ryan. Always appreciate you, man. We'll chat again next week at Ryan Balaji on Twitter, thegolfnewsnet.com. The Break, the daily newsletter where you should be signed up, getting it each and every day. Appreciate it, man. We've got a lot to look forward to, especially with the Masters. So thank you as always, man.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. Be well, be safe. That's Ryan Balaji. At Ryan Balaji, at Shander Show here, at Ron Culver, 2 N's, twitch.tv/Shander Show. Our buddy Bo 316 thought number 1 was fake. Thought it was only green M&Ms. So Ron getting more than just me on fake news, the Eddie Van Halen edition of fake news. It looks as if Joe Flacco will get the nod this week for the New York Jets, which makes that game even more bettable, by the way, because now you really know that the Jets have no shot at keeping anything close. See, bad football you can still bet on. Bad football doesn't mean you have to turn off the television. You still get a nice little juicy slice of football right now when it comes to the Joe Flaccos, the Fighting Flaccos. And look, Kyler Murray and the Cardinals are pretty upset, I would imagine, especially after 2 straight weeks of mediocre football. You would think Arizona, after being discussed and talked about and highly heralded as this top surprise story in the NFC, and oh my goodness, look at the Cardinals, that division. They lose 2 straight. This is a perfect opportunity to turn around and pound some flesh. All right, 1 for the road. We'll wrap the hour next here on the Second Level.
Where are jobs in radio given out? They're not given out on a college campus. No, they're given out in the real world at real radio stations. And to get a job, you need to know people. That's where Radio Connection comes in. Most schools train you on campus. Radio Connection gives you the opportunity to learn from professional mentors in real radio stations. They've put their private classrooms in these places so you can apprentice under professionals. And as you learn, you're making connections and gaining access to the people that are doing the hiring. This is not the promise of a job, no, but it is a promise to get you as close to the action and opportunities as possible. If COVID is a concern, no problem. You can learn from a radio professional via remote learning tools as well. This is education reimagined to keep you out of debt as you learn in real-world settings. Interested? Visit radioconnection.com for more information today. That's radioconnection.com.
Coast to coast! Nick Saban saying that this season is about the players. It is not about the money.
Everything's about money in Tuscaloosa. I guarantee you that. He can lie to you all he wants. That's what they do down there. They play football and they make money. And I don't believe for 1 minute anything else he's saying. So you can have that sandwich. Put mustard on it. Horseradish mustard. It's even better.
Farrell Coast to Coast with Scott Farrell. Weekdays from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern.
The Jake Asman Show.
The Jets are just a disgraceful football team so far in 2020. And it starts with this head coach who might be the worst head coach in the NFL. Let's start with the asinine report that somehow firing Adam Gase would be bad for this team, be counterproductive. The Jets have been absolutely abysmal through their first 3 games. They're the only team in the NFL that is yet to hold a lead. They have been outscored by 57 points. The offense is the worst in the league. They've only scored 4 touchdowns. And this brilliant owner, Christopher Johnson, said that Adam Gase is a brilliant offensive mind. The offense is terrible. The defense can't tackle. They never touch a quarterback. I mean, my God.
The Jake Asman Show. Weekday mornings from 9 to 11 Eastern.
Are you thinking that it's time to start looking for a new car? Then go to automotivemap.com to see the latest auto news, find out about what's ahead for your favorite brands, and learn how much that new car will cost you. Automotivemap.com is your place to see reviews, check out the hottest exotic cars, read tales from the road, and get acquainted with the luxury automotive lifestyle. Into hot mods? Want to see the cars celebrities drive?
All right, what you got? Anything?
Job
Or is this on me?
Off-roading to on-roading. Automotive Map.
I was going to play, we could.
Do you still have that one more Van Halen
This
song?
is the Eddie Van Halen
Yeah. Let's do it, man. Let's do it.
You're listening to The Second Level on the SportsMap Radio Network.
Presented by Rocket Mortgage. Home loans that fit your life. Rocket can.
From the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, with way more than the scores, here's Eitan Shander.
There it is. The greatest single piece of Eddie Van Halen's catalog, resume, work.
You know what the crazy thing is? Because I had to search this song out and this is the part right here, right? This is like when you think of Van Halen, this is what you think of. But the craziest thing about this,
Beyond how absurdly fast he is.
well, but my forearms are hurting right now.
Yeah.
But you can go on YouTube. There's a bunch of videos where he's doing this live, and it's 13 minutes long.
I don't understand how that's
He's
possible.
just dripping with sweat. Guys have a hard time doing 10, 15 seconds of that, and he's doing it for like 13 minutes. It's insane.
Yeah, I just don't understand. How is this even possible?
I don't know either.
And he just destroys this thing.
Yeah. That's it. I mean, that's
it.
That's the song.
That's it. That's it.
When you think of Eddie Van Halen, what he can do on a guitar, that's the first thought that should come to your mind every single time is just him doing that.
And that's enough. Because then when you hear everything else, you're like, wow, this guy, you can hear the variety that he provides. Really, I mean, it's just awesome to be able to hear something like that, which is just insane. And the fact that anybody could be that fast and pound that for 13 minutes. And then you start to hear other music that he's created.
Yeah.
And there's variety throughout.
Well, I mean, what was it said that when before Van Halen came along, when you did air guitar, you just usually strum the air. And then when Van Halen came along,
I like it.
Started using your fingers.
Yeah. Think about that.
Because if you watch him do it, he's not strumming at all. He's like the right hand is just pounding on different strings, and his left hand is, I can't do it. He's just cruising up and down all over the place. And it's all played on the neck of the guitar.
Yeah. That's the thing is exactly. It's the neck of the guitar. And now think about this. We just attributed Van Halen for creating the air guitar, like evolving, I should say, the air guitar and creating pop-up videos.
Yeah.
Insane, right?
It is.
I love that. This is one of the best tributes we've had because there are so many stories that pop out, and he's stretched across so many different artists and acts and groups. We'll have to play some more Van Halen tomorrow. Why not? Right?
Why not?
Matt Peralt next. We're back on a Thursday. It's Sports Map Radio. All right, man. That was great.
I know that was the song you were looking for, right?
Yeah, that was awesome. Thank you. All right.